This is my interview video for U.S. History 3. This is my dad, and I'm asking him questions about the Gulf War I or Operation Desert Storm or SHIELD. If you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Dean Stetson. I was in the Air Force for 10 years and Department of Defense for 23. I did a total of 33 years with the government and retired 4.5 years ago as a firefighter.
All right. So, can you describe your deployment experience?
On October 7th in 1990, my unit, 36 firefighters, we were down in Little Rock, Arkansas. That's where I was stationed. In the afternoon, before we were getting on board the aircraft to leave to go over to Desert Shield, all 36 of us, we basically had to go through a processing line and finish our paperwork, do all of our wills and stuff like that. And then the last station we had to get shots. We got like 4 shots in the arm and 2 in the butt, and it was a lot of pain, and all of us got sick, and we had 22 hours of fly time, and we were landed in about 5 or 6 different countries, and finally 22 hours later I got off the plane at 6 o'clock in the morning in the UAE at Bateen Air Force Base in the middle of nowhere with a runway and a hangar and basically an overhang, and there was nothing there except 125-degree heat. We walked down the ramp of a C-130 with our full gear and basically collapsed and slept for just about a day, and we were all exhausted, and that's where it started.
All right. So, what was your role in Operation Desert Storm, and like what specific tasks did you perform when you were there?
Well, being a firefighter, there's different levels of firefighting. I was a rescue firefighter, so basically what that was is I was the guy that rescued pilots and people out of aircraft and out of buildings and things like that. But not only that, while I was at Desert Storm, I was a logistics expediter for the fire department. Also, I was a fire safety guy for fire prevention, and then to include, I was basically voluntold to be the training coordinator for the local national firefighters that were part of the country that we were in, and that was quite an interesting time to take and learn how to communicate with 5 different countries of different people and languages to teach them firefighting and how we operated.
Good. So, like, how did you feel when you first learned you would be deployed for this operation?
Honestly, at first, I was, I was 22, 21 or 22 years old, and let's be honest, I was scared because I didn't know, what was going on. This is the first war since Vietnam that our country was involved in. We didn't know what was going on, and didn't know where we were going, what we were doing. I left on the 7th of August, got there on the 9th of August, and we were the first wave in, and I stayed there until May of 91, so I was there for 9 months. But after the, fear or being scared got over, I was ready to go over and kick ass and take names, and yeah, we were ready to go. All 36 of us, we were excited, and yeah, we were looking forward to the adventure and stuff.
All right. So, what was just a typical day like for you during the operation while you were deployed?
Well, as firefighters, typically we work 24 hours shifts, 24 hours on, 24 hours off. And a typical day for a firefighter that works on duty is we're training and we're making sure the equipment and the trucks are working correctly. We're cleaning because all the dirt and all the dust that was over there, we had to make sure everything operated. Our air packs, our breathing apparatus that we had to use, that was our lifesavers. We had to make sure they were in perfect tip-top condition. And then we would do familiarization. Like I said, we train. In the evenings, we would, we'd play games. We would have movie night, maybe go to the gym, have dinner. But it was extremely hot, so we really couldn't do a lot of stuff. We drank a lot of water, cases and cases of water, because it was 130, 135 during the day, and in the evening it's only cooled down to like maybe 100. So it was quite hot, but our body is acclimated, and yeah. So, and for a firefighter that was off duty, we get off in the morning. All of us would go to the chow hall and have a breakfast together, basically shift breakfast, and then after that we'd kind of go back to our tent and we'd all go take showers and stuff, and then we'd probably go work out, hang out at the tent, write letters, listen to music, play games again, sleep, whatever, and just hang out. For me, it was a little bit different. I never had really a day off while I was over there. I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. So with my other responsibilities, being a logistics expediter and being the training guy and being the fire prevention guy, I was always doing something. With logistics, I was making sure that all of our equipment, was ready to go, and I was ordering stuff constantly to make sure it was coming in, and having bench stock of stuff if it broke, and having backup like fire clothing and things like that. And then also with the training stuff, I had to train with the local community pretty much every day, because we had to learn and teach them how to use their equipment, how we operated. We would have training exercises, working together, teaching them how to do things. And then I'd basically walk around the tent city. We had basically 100 tents and about 20 hooches, which are like wooden huts. The hooches are where the officers and the pilots slept. And I just made sure that people weren't being stupid, being fire safe. And so that's what I did on my days off. And then during the day, when I was on shift, I was just doing my other stuff.
All right. So where did you live before you deployed?
I was stationed at Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas. I was part of the 314th Civil Engineering Squadron, 314th Fire Department, and the Air Mobility Command.
All right. So the air campaign, it's a pretty big role in the Operation Desert Storm. What can you tell us about the air campaign?
Well, I was right there in it. I was right. Being an Air Force firefighter, that's our primary job in the Air Force, is protection of the aircraft, not just aircraft, or not just or Air Force aircraft, but we're talking all divisions, all branches of service, including our allies too. We took care of all the fighters, all the bombers, all the cargo, all the fuel haulers, all the helicopters, all that kind of stuff. We we had to know all the ins and outs of them. We had books that we had that explained all the different procedures that we had to learn, and that was my job as a rescue firefighter. And that was my primary job as a rescue firefighter. I'm the one that had to go in and shut the aircraft down and start to extract the pilots and stuff if they crashed, or if they became incapacitated, or if they were injured and they couldn't shut the aircraft down. So that's our primary job in peacetime and in wartime. So that's what that was air campaign. That was what it was all about.
All right. So how did you yourselves contribute to the air campaign? I think you already went over this a little bit.
Yeah, basically, they flew 24/7. The base, Tent City, was like 100 yards away from the runway. The fire department was like right next to the runway. Like I said, they flew 24/7, and it got to be that I could tell by the sound of the aircraft when they were taking off and when they were landing what type of aircraft they were. I could tell if there was something wrong with an engine just by the sound of it, and which aircraft it was. And when they landed, I could tell if it was a normal landing or if there was an issue. And that was kind of what I contributed to. A lot of the planes came back. They were shot up. They had pieces missing. Pilots were shot, injured. We would have to take and pull them out, do life-saving measures on the pilots. Sometimes if they would catch on fire, we'd have to put the fire out and contain it. And so that's what we had to contribute. That was our job as firefighters.
All right. So how did advancements in the military technology impact operations during Operation Desert Storm?
For firefighting, there really wasn't a lot of advancements in technology. It's pretty straightforward. We didn't really see a lot of advancement technology. I would say probably 10 years after Desert Storm. We learned a lot of things during Desert Storm, and we just built from that. But there really wasn't a lot, right afterwards. So it was really nothing. No really impact right away.
Yeah. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced while you were deployed?
Well, first of all, when we first got there, we didn't have a chow hall. We didn't have anything like that. We didn't even have tents yet. We were first in, firefighters and cops and contracting people and communication people, and then the command post people. And they dropped us off. They gave us MREs, which are meals ready to eat, and a whole bunch of water, and said, stand by, we'll be sending more people and stuff. Well, we waited and waited. Stuff slowly started coming in, but we ran out of food, and our contracting people had to get with the local nationals in the country, and they had to feed us. And for over 6 weeks, we didn't know what we were eating. Yeah. They said it was fish. They said it was chicken. Never seen a chicken or a fish like that, but we had to eat it. We needed food, but yeah, that was one of the main things that kind of was interesting. But probably the biggest thing was when we did start getting our equipment and things in. When a war does start, there's a thing, or there's a function of the government's called WRM, War Ready Materials, and they created this after World War II, Korea, Vietnam. And what it is it's basically equipment and stuff that is set aside with the logistics agencies that is just for war. And when we got our first fire truck delivered to us, I had to drive it off the back of the aircraft sitting on a wooden crate because there was no seats in it, because they had pillaged the seats for it, because some base in the Air Force needed the seats for that truck. And so as a logistic expediter, that's what I had to do, is I had to order seats and things like that. It didn't have any firefighting equipment, no hose, no nozzles, no nothing like that. So that was one thing that was really interesting. That was hard for us to you know, how good are you as a fire department if you don't have any water or hoses or a truck that works?
Yeah.
So luckily we had, they were called Halon fire extinguishers, which could put anything out. But we had enough of those that were around that we could handle pretty much anything. But it took us a while to take and get set up to be an actual full acting fire department.
All right. What are your some of your most memorable moments, and do you have any specific memories or experiences that stand out?
One vivid one was it was Wednesday, January 16th, 1991. It was in the afternoon. I was in the rescue truck and we were on standby. We were on an in-flight emergency waiting for an aircraft to come in that was declared, a pilot declared an emergency. It was shot up and had smoke coming from the cockpit and stuff like that. And all of a sudden over the radio, there weird alert tones that we weren't used to hearing came over the radio. And we heard the command post going, stand by, stand by, stand by. This is the command post. Stand by. And then, this is the wing commander. And he goes, we are now officially at war. Desert Shield has turned into Desert Storm. And I repeat, we are in Operation Desert Storm. And that right there, I can remember exactly everything that day, what I was, where I was, what I was doing, everything. Because that's when reality really hit.
Yeah.
Because we were there, yeah, we had mortars coming in, we had shootings and stuff, and things like that. But when they actually declared war, we did not know what we were going to do, because as soon as that happened, then the oil well fires started, and we were right next to the oil well fires, and it just, chaos began.
Dang. So your camaraderie, how did you bond with your fellow service members during the deployment?
Well, we basically lived and worked together because we didn't have anywhere to go. We had our tent, we had the fire department, so we made friends, because there was other units there from other bases and stuff. But we hung out together, even in peacetime fire departments. We're like a family anyway, so we had each other's backs. A lot of guys came to me. I was kind of a veteran, even though I was younger. Had a lot of experience though, so they came to me, I talked to them. And but one for instance was there was this young kid that he had just got to the base. He had just finished basic firefighter school, and he got put in a position because we needed another firefighter to go on this deployment. And so he was the one that had to go, and I kind of took him underneath my wing and made sure that he had all his stuff that he needed because he had to do his training while he was there too, on top of everything else. Yeah. So him and I became really good friends, and I helped him through getting all his training and everything done. And coming to find out, his dad and my uncle were on the same chopper, and they were machine gunners during Vietnam, because he came from the same town my grandpa and my uncle were from, out in Oregon. So, and his dad was a deputy fire chief out there in Oregon. But it's a small world that him and I went to war together, and my uncle and his dad went to war together, and they were actually on the same chopper. So
Yeah,
that was kind of
cool.
ironic.
Yeah, it is. All right. So, how did your experiences in Operation Desert Storm affect your military career, or your later life afterwards?
Well, after I got back, out of the 36 firefighters, I was the only one that received. I received 2 medals, commendation and achievement medal, and then also I received the Kuwaiti Liberation Medal. But everybody that served over there received that one. But my career blew up after that, and I made 4 goals for myself when I got back from deployment. I wanted to make my next rank. I wanted to get stationed up here at Ellsworth, move from base in Little Rock, move up here to Ellsworth. I wanted to buy my first home, and I wanted to get out of the military and then go right into the Department of Defense, basically civil service. And I did that in less than 5 years. So that was really great for me. But while I was still in the military, I was assigned to an Air Force Combat Command level team to help work issues for fire departments that were deployed over to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and to figure out how and what could be done to fix problems and issues that we had during that time. And during the time through my career, the things that me and my team worked on, I got to see basically the fruits of my labor. And even to this day, they still are using the same things that we created back then. They use the same processes now. So it's kind of neat that I was able to do that and be a part of that. But
yeah. So, how did your views on war itself and just military service in general change as a result of your experience?
Well, my family, we've always been patriotic. We've always been supportive of that. My grandpa, he was a sergeant major drill instructor in World War II. My godfather, he was the one that dared me to join the Air Force, and he was a lieutenant colonel in World War II. He was a pilot. And putting politics aside and everything, I really feel that our government should, the military should be our number one focus with our government, because of this is our country, and if we don't have a strong military to protect our country, we won't have a country.
Amen to that.
Because of all the crazies that are out there, all the fools and the insane leaders, and the way this world is going, we need to do something.
Yeah.
And we need to be on top of it and be ready for any minute that could happen that we'd be called. And even though I'm old and beat up and everything, if they called me to go back, I would do it in a heartbeat to help, which they probably wouldn't. But no, we need to support our military, and I hope that the new regime and every regime afterwards continues to support the military, because we need to have a strong military from now until the end.
Yeah. Another question, what was the morale among the troops?
At first, it was kind of hard because, like I said, it was the unknown. It was scary. We didn't know what was going on. But then we had good days, we had bad days. It was kind of up to the person, um, if you're going to have a good day or if you're going to have a bad day. And then it was up to the leaders or up to the supervisors on how they were going to treat their subordinates. If they're going to keep them up and going, and keep that morale going. And that was really important. So that's one thing that I tried to do with everybody is make sure they were okay, and keep them going.
Yeah. How did you just like cope with the stress and like all the stuff you had to go through?
Well, with the combat stuff, we really, being firefighters and with the Air Force, yeah, there is combat, but it's more of kind of behind the fence stuff. We got mortared a lot. There was snipers. Our biggest thing, I think, was more psychological because we were concerned about being having like chemical or biological weapons used against us. Like with the mortars, they could have stuff, in them. Um, things like that. And gunshots, coming from nowhere. The fence intrusions. But we had security forces that were walking the fence line 24/7. So we were pretty safe, but you still have a little bit of I guess fear, if you want to call it, especially when a mortar goes off around you. But when the oil well fires, when they blew up, it got real because all that smoke and the fires, we were right there with them, and so that got kind of, coping with stress there was really, really high. And like I told you earlier, with when the wing commander came over and said we are at war, yeah, the stress level kind of peaked, because it kind of hit home. But we got through it.
Yeah. What was just a few lessons you took away from your time there that have stayed with you to this day?
Appreciate the small things in life. Nice long hot showers and good food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. All right. So, how do you think Operation Desert Storm has shaped modern military operations today?
Well, during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, they introduced the stealth technology and the GPS and aircraft advanced systems like radar, missile lock, um, missile warning systems, and basically revolutionary stuff and technology that it's being used today, and they just keep building on it and building on it. So we were able to test it during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and we're building off of what we tested, and you're seeing it now, even with the new B-21 that's coming here to Ellsworth.
Yeah. What would be some like advice you'd give to young service members or like even students in our school that are considering joining the military?
If you ever seen that movie, we were soldiers. Even before I learned about Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore, he was a Vietnam War veteran. He was the one that created the Air Cav. They used the helicopters as basically fighting machines. They went in and dropped troops in, and they went in and got them out.
Basically, just like search and destroy.
Yep, search and destroy. And he basically stated the best thing that a person could do. And I was doing this even before I even watched the show or even read up on Hal Moore. But he said to be a great, basically, worker, leader, whatever, is you have to know your job well. You have to know the person's job above you and the person's job below you, and you will know the job well, because if the person above you, something happens, you're going to be able to take care of it. The person's job below you, you're going to be able to take care of it. So that's what I taught, and that was taught to me at a very young, when I was a rookie or a probie, and that's what I taught to all my young guys. And either they took it or they didn't. It was up to them, but it was successful for me, and the guys that did listen to me, it was successful to them.
Okay. Some good advice. All right, so for our last question, what would be just like one thing you would say to a young service member?
Well, I got a couple things I'd say.
All right.
First of all, I'd tell them to shut up and listen. I tell them to train. You don't know everything, even though you think you do. Hopefully you will know when it's the right time to take and ask a question, because sometimes you ask it when you don't need to. But remember, there's never a stupid question. Never. And if someone says it's a stupid question, then they're stupid. You find somebody else and get the answer. Okay?
Yep.
Never give up. Some lead, some follow. Be the leader and stay the course. And God bless you.
All right, so that's our interview. Thank you.